A very nice day to you all. I am Bindu. Hope you all are doing well. In today's video, we are going to discuss the topic, the impact of colonialism in India. In this chapter, we will explore the impact of colonial policies on the forests of Andhra Pradesh. Additionally, we will examine how these policies related to forests, industries, and labor influenced the lives of people in various regions of the country. Let us start the topic. Learning outcomes. How forests were used before the British rule? How forests were used during the British rule? Forests in danger and the need to plant new trees. The government sets up a forest department. The British government's industrial policy. Indian industry during the First World War. Problems of Indian industry at the time of independence. Laborers in Indian industries. Keywords: harmony, living together peacefully rather than fighting or arguing. Auction, a public sale in which goods or property are sold to the highest offer. Revolt, take violent action against an established government or ruler. Revolutionaries, a person who advocates or engages in political revolution. Reduction, the act of making something smaller or less in amount, degree or size. Let us look at this concept map. How forests were used before the British rule? Adivasis, or the tribal people, and the villagers used to get what they needed from the forest before the British rule. They hunted, gathered wood, fruits, flowers, and herbs, and grazed their cattle in the forest. They also cut down trees and cleared land to grow crops. They used wood to build homes and make tools. They also sold some forest products to buy things they needed from the market. They did not sell the extra things they got from the forest, like wood, to make money. Although the Adivasis and villagers cleared some forests for farming, there were still large forested areas left. Sometimes there were conflicts between farmers and tribal people about this, but they also took care of the forest they used. They used to cut the old trees for wood and let new ones grow. They did not cut large areas of forest, but only small parts to avoid destroying it. People in the forest gave valuable gifts to kings and emperors. Farmers paid taxes and Adivasis practiced shifting cultivation. Kings did not control the use of forests, as it did not threaten their kingdoms. Adivasis lived in harmony with forests for centuries, meeting their needs and taking care of them. How forests were used during British rule? During the British rule, cities like Kolkata and Mumbai grew rapidly. The British government built thousands of kilometers of railways, constructed huge ships, and opened mines. The demand for timber increased due to these developments. Sleepers for railway lines. In 1879, India had 8,000 kilometers of railways. By 1910, it had increased to 50,000 kilometers. Each year, 1 crore wooden sleepers were needed to be cut from the Himalayan and Terai forests. Wood was also used for the making of buildings and ships. Workers hired by timber traders and forest contractors did the work. The British government and their companies earned big profits from selling contracts through auctions. Forests in danger and the need to plant new trees. The British government was worried about running out of wood for railways, ships, and houses due to the increasing timber trade. They decided to plant new trees. But only those that provided valuable timber like teak and pine. The government sets up a forest department. In 1864, the government created the forest department to protect new forests and preserve the old ones. They made laws to control the forest and to prevent them from being destroyed by people living nearby. Adivasi revolts. During the British rule, Adivasi farmers in the jungle faced challenges. Tribes like Baiga, Muria, Gond, Bhil, Koya, Reddy, Kolam and Saora could not continue their traditional farming methods. They were forced to work for others and outsiders took their land. The forest department became more powerful and violent. The Santal Revolt. The Santals of Jharkhand fought against the British rule. In 1855 to 56, they revolted by looting and killing zamindars and moneylenders. They wanted a free state for themselves, but were not strong enough to fight off the British army. In the end, 15,000 Santals were killed, and their revolt was suppressed, defeated. The revolt, led by Birsa Munda, from 1874 to 1901, the Munda Adivasis in Jharkhand, led by Birsa, joined together to fight against the British rule. They wanted to overthrow the British government that supported the zamindars, moneylenders, and unfair courts that had taken their land and forest rights. Birsa was like a god to his followers, who obeyed him completely. The rebellion was stopped by arresting and imprisoning the leaders. Birsa Munda died in jail in 1900. But the government had to create laws to protect the Chota Nagpur Adivasis. Forest revolt in Kumaon, 1921 to 22. Kumaon peasants protested the government taking away their forest rights and refused rules and labor. The British had to change their policies. Alluri Sita Ramaraju. Alluri Sita Ramaraju was born on July 4th, 1897 in Panrangi village. His father was a photographer and his mother was from Visakhapatnam. He grew up with his uncle after his father died. In 1882, the Madras Forest Act stopped the tribal people from farming and moving freely in the forest. Alluri protested in Andhra Pradesh by raiding police stations, inspired by the revolutionaries of Bengal. Alluri and his followers stole guns and killed the British officers. The British sent soldiers under the leadership of Saunders. After 4 months, Alluri reappeared and fought alongside the tribal volunteers. The British fought for a year, then caught and killed Alluri in May 1924. Komaram Bhim. Komaram Bhim was born in Sankepalli village. His father died when he was 15. Bhim's family moved to Sardhapur village. Bhim killed a Jagirdar named Siddiqui and fled to Assam. He worked as a laborer for 5 years and was inspired by freedom fighters. Bhim formed a guerrilla army to fight for taxes and gain freedom. For tribal people at Jodhghat. He died in battle. Hemmendorf studied the tribe after Bhim's death. The British government's industrial policy. Indian textile mills were established in Mumbai and Ahmedabad in the 1850s. Indians demanded a tax on British cloth to support their industry. But the government rejected it under pressure from the British factory owners. Eventually, in 1896, the government imposed a tax on British cloth entering India, but also taxed Indian-made cloth, leading to conflict. Indian industry during the First World War. During World War I, India faced shortages as ships were used for war and European factories for producing weapons. After the war, Indian factories expanded and purchased European machines. To support Indian industries, foreign goods were taxed. The government approved, resulting in rapid factory growth. Problems of Indian industry at the time of independence. The British government controlled the factories, banks and ships in India. The Indian industrialists made progress but lacked resources. Education was neglected. The FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, raised concerns on this. India supported industrial growth after the British rule was over. Laborers in Indian industries. Machine-based industries started in India in 1850. With textiles being the largest, employing 2,25,000 workers in 1905. Needy farmers, laborers, and artisans migrated to cities, increasing the labor force. Huts and tenements, slums were built near factories. Work conditions. Workers in the mills worked for long hours without breaks or separate eating areas. They had a few holidays and were paid based on production, with deductions for issues. The mill owner kept some wages and imposed fines. All the workers, including children, worked for long hours. Laborer struggles. In Mumbai, laborers faced harsh working conditions and went on frequent strikes from 1870. They did not have unions, but they would unite to pressure the mill owners. In 1892, they prevented a wage reduction, and in 1900 to 1901, 20,000 workers went on strike for 10 days. In 1919, living costs went up, but labor wages didn't. Labor organizations. The educated folks wrote about the issues of workers in papers. Groups were formed to help the workers. Strikes led to the formation of unions and laws. Conclusion. British colonialism harmed India's economy by exploiting resources and replacing traditional industries with those that benefited the empire.